David Benavidez knocks out Demetrius Andrade in dominant fashion and gets a nice win. Then we had Jermall Charlo coming back, looking great, looking sharp, gets a nice win over Jose Benavidez. And Katie Taylor finally is undisputed champion, and she got to celebrate it with her people in Ireland. Let's talk all about the fights. Let's do a quick recap. Let's get right into the show. Hey guys, welcome to the False Nine Podcast here with your host, Alvaro, with episode 181. Guys, we had a very, very exciting weekend with boxing fights, and we have an exciting week coming up. But, let's talk about the fights. Let's do a quick recap. We're going to talk about David Benavidez knocking out Demetrius. We're going to talk about Katie Taylor and Chantelle Cameron, and then Jose Benavidez versus Jermall Charlo. And quick recap and what's next for the fighters. Let's talk about David Benavidez versus Demetrius Andrade first. Let's get right into it, man. So, just to let you guys know, my predictions for this fight was, Demetrius was going to start hot, showing different things, looking, great, and then David was going to pick it up, and I thought he was going to get the knockout in the 8th or the 9th, but he got it a lot earlier than that. He got it in the 6th, and I thought he was going to get it in like the 8th or the 9th. So I was really impressed that he got to put out Demetrius Andrade that fast. And, let's just get right into it. So, both fighters walk out, all this, stuff, whatever is going on. Fight starts, and Demetrius looks great. He looks good. He's moving a lot. He's showing different things, different angles. And he's confusing me at this point. And David Benavidez, just trying to hold it together, figure him out. I don't know if it was round 2. It was round 2 where he really was catching David with some good shots. And I was like, oh, snap. If David doesn't figure Demetrius out, he's going to be in some real trouble, and this is going to be a long fight. So, fights going on. David Benavidez figures him out. Boom. And I want to say he dropped him in the 4th, if I'm not mistaken. And the way he dropped him was insane. A power shot. And it was delayed. He got caught with the hook, and he just a few seconds later and just dropped to the floor. And I think from there, Demetrius Andrade was he just couldn't recover and couldn't be back, to where he was in the round 1 or 2. So, it was short and it was quick, and it happened like that. And I was just blown away from this performance. From David, when he fought Caleb Plant, I was like, all right, let's see what this guy got. And then he beats Caleb Plant the way he did, and I was like, God, this guy's brutal, man. This guy's crazy in the ring. And then this fight coming up, I'm like, all right, this is a harder test, the next test. Let's see how he does. And he looked fucking phenomenal in the ring. Fucking phenomenal. And I was just blown away by the performance. He just looked sharp, and he looked like he was in his own element. And he just looked good, right? So there's really nothing I could say about him. We all know what we want next for that fight. And there's a little segment or clip, right after this segment here. But I see a lot of backlash from Demetrius Andrade, and it's kind of confusing. Because I'm like, why? Maybe I don't want to say the word quit because he got in the ring. But, when you're boxing and you've taken so much damage, and for Demetrius, I don't know what his thought process was, but I'm like, bro, you're 32. I think he's 32, if I'm not mistaken. But he's in his early 30s and hasn't really been in a big fight like this. He probably has never taken damage like this. And I think he was just looking out for his health, and his team was looking out for his health because he was getting hit with some hard ass punches. And I didn't understand how he was just still in the fight in general. And I was just like, bro, how are you in this fight? How are you still in here? So I was kind of blown away by his chin. And then I even, I think it was in the 5th or the round that he got dropped. And I was like, man, going back in there, he's going to have a little talk with his team to find out if he's going to keep going or not. Because, like I said, he got hit. He was getting hit hard. So I wasn't surprised that the stoppage happened that way. And it's kind of sad to see people this was his first big fight. He finally got his opportunity and he decides to quit. And I'm like, bro, he was getting fucked up. You know, I'm sure he has a chin on him, but there's only so much damage like a man can take versus it becomes permanent damage. And I'm like, he made the right decision. He was getting beat up pretty rough. And I mean, he was probably never recovered from that knockdown, and he was just like concussed. Who knows, right? I just know he wasn't all the way there, and I think that his team and himself made the best decision, you know, for his health and everything. And it's pretty lame, you know, that people are saying that he quit and that he was overhyped and he disappointed like the boxing community and these other communities. I was like, bro, David Benavidez just got the best of him. That's it. David Benavidez is just a better fighter. It's plain and simple, and that was it. It's not that he was overhyped. You put him in with Caleb Plant, he probably beats Caleb Plant. Like, and I can't think of other fighters, I'm sorry, but if he gets with any other fighter, like most fighters, he probably beats them. There's no doubt in my mind that he beats them. He's a good fighter. And you know, people were saying like, and people were ducking him. You know, I don't know which fighters, but apparently, you know, they were using. I saw a tweet where like, oh, we were using Demetrius Andrade's name, you know, just to say like Canelo was ducking or so and so was ducking, and just to find out that he was just a fraud and that he quit in his first big fight and X, Y, and Z. And I was like, bro, like that's so fucking lame to think of this fighter this way. He was looking good round 1, 2, and like 3, but then David Benavidez figured that shit out. Like the fighter, and I thought he's a good fighter. He figured him out, and you know, Demetrius just had no response, and he was just getting outboxed and just getting hit with some power punches. So, mad respect for Demetrius, and I want to see him back in the ring. I want to see him fight a tough opponent, not tougher, but a tough opponent, just to show to himself, to his team, and to the boxing community that he's still up there for sure, with just no question. You know, David, I mean, we all know the Canelo fight's next, and that we all want that fight, but he's putting the pressure on Canelo to take this fight, and he's clearly sending a message to Canelo without words, with just his fights. So I'm gonna let this segment play and let it like transition to that video, and I hope you guys enjoy that part, and then we'll move on to the next fight. So David Benavidez knocks out Demetrius Andrade in dominant fashion, and the questions are, what's next? And the obvious answer and the only answer is Canelo Alvarez. And David's been asking for this fight for a while, and I've also thought like, man, who's David? Why is he asking for this fight? He wants a payday. You know, he's not even really Mexican. You know, just kind of really, you know, talking down on David Benavidez. But after seeing what he did to Caleb Plant, and, you know, last night, seeing what he did to Demetrius Andrade, 32-0, a guy who like nobody really wanted to fight, and he knocked him out, made him look easy, made him look like done, you know, and it's really impressive. And this is a fight I think that needs to happen next year, no matter what, right? And the reason why I say that, the first thing I'm going to say is Canelo's age. Canelo's not getting any younger. So it's, you know, to see the best version of Canelo against probably not the best version of David, but close to the best, because I think David will get better over time, no matter what happens after the Canelo fight. But for Canelo, you know, he's in his prime and walking towards the end of his prime. So we need to see this fight as soon as possible and make it happen. And, you know, David's young. He's a beast and not as experienced as Canelo. But that's reason number one, because over time, Canelo will slow down. He'll start making more mistakes and things like that. And hopefully, you know, we don't see too much of that when it does happen. But the age thing is important. And having the performance he had recently, Canelo, I mean, he looked great. He looked sharp, did not get tired at all, kept the pace up the whole 12 rounds, just didn't get the knockout. So he goes in there with David in his prime, healthy. We'll see the best version of Canelo, you know. So that's what we want out of that fight. Now, the second thing is David Benavidez has been calling out Canelo. Not a lot of people call out Canelo and then, you know, have performances like David Benavidez. He's been calling out Canelo. As far as I know, from the calling out, he had the fight with Caleb Plant. You know, and I was like, all right, man, let's see what this guy's talking about. He keeps tripping at Canelo. Canelo's my guy. You know, I'm supportive. I'm real supportive of Canelo, you know, glazing the Canelo, or the Canelo team and Canelo, whatever, right? So, like, let's check out this fight. Caleb Plant's nice. I think he'll get the best of David. And boy, I was wrong. And then from there, I was like, man, this guy's good. This guy's real good. So this fight coming up with Demetrius, I was like, oh, snap, like, this is a decent fight, you know? I was watching Demetrius' highlights, his fights, whatever, and I was like, okay, this is a good test for David. I think David should get it done. I thought it was going to go to the 8th or 9th, and that's when he was going to do what he did, but he turned it up so fucking fast. As soon as he figured out Demetrius, which, you know, he started figuring it out like in the 3rd and then the 4th, you know, and I forgot where he got the knockdown. The knockdown, I think it was in the 5th or the 4th. But to get the knockdown like that, and then, you know, in round 6, you make him not necessarily quit, but he's taking so much damage where he's like, I can't no more. Like, I'm done. You know, and he's looking out for his health and everything, you know. So his team did the right choice because he was getting beat the fuck up. And I was generally like, dude, like, when are you going to drop, or when is the team going to throw the white tie? You know, I was like, it's ending soon. So he has those 2 performances, like, perfect, almost perfect performances. Just didn't get the knockout against Caleb, but close to perfect, and still chirping and calling out Canelo. When have we seen that besides Gennady Golovkin? So, and we all know how all that stuff turned out and everything. So there really hasn't been any major, big, scary contenders for Canelo. Only one I can think of besides, you know, David was Gennady Golovkin. And we saw that fight, and we saw it 3 times, and, you know, it was awesome. And now you have another guy, young guy, hungry guy, and he's just, you know, beating people up. And he's like, hey, man, like, I want my fight. But, hey, if you don't want to give it to me, I'm going to just keep fighting and, like, putting more pressure on Canelo. And that's the best thing David could do. You know, he's like, man, look, if he wants to give me the fight, cool. If he don't, I'm still going to do what I got to do, and I'm going to be the best boxer in the world. And I got to respect that. You know, I got to take my hats off for David for that. You know, so that's the other reason why we need this fight. I mean, the last real reason, or the last best reason you could say, the fans want to see this fight. You know, we as fans want to see this fight. We don't really get too excited when Canelo fights. At least I don't. I get excited when we see Canelo, you know, just show why he's the best. But, you know, the fact that we can see Canelo in some real trouble, and you know, maybe feel somewhat of a pressure, like, hey, like, this guy could beat you, man. Like, this guy's been calling you out. He's been knocking people out, and he wants you. He wants to fight you. And the people, like, hey, like, you know, David could give a good run to Canelo for his money. Like, you know, it would just be a good fight, you know, and it would just be crazy. The fans would be crazy. The event would be crazy. It would just sell a lot of pay-per-views, a lot of tickets. It would just be a huge event. Besides Canelo and Terrence Crawford, this is probably the second best fight you can make at the moment. So, you know, both of these guys are Mexican. David Benavidez have Mexican, I want to say Guatemalan, yeah, from Guatemala or Ecuador, I'm not sure. But one of those South American countries. So not full Mexican, but part Mexican. And I mean, he considers himself Mexican, which is pretty cool. And Canelo. So having that clash, I mean, it's just fireworks, man, and we just want to see it. Now, a little bit about how I think the fight would go, you know? I'm not going to give, like, a full detailed prediction or whatever, but as much as, you know, David has, you know, won me over as a fan, and I love Canelo, and I think he's the best boxer in the world at the moment, I think David could put Canelo in some really, really tough situations, but Canelo would just outskill him and just take him all 12 rounds and just make David work, like, hard for 12 rounds. And I think he would just exhaust David and just get the best of him, you know, and frustrate David, won't let David do too much. But if David lands, you know, he could wobble Canelo. So who knows, man? Who knows? It would be a fucking banger without question. And we need that. We need this fight in 2024. Canelo's not getting any younger. David Benavidez is just getting better. And we want to see it. We want to see that fucking fight. So let me know what you guys think about David's performance. Let me know when we need to see this fight. let me know what you guys think of how the fight would go. Honestly, let me know your predictions below in the comments. And I just want to hear the feedback on this fight. All right, guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed that part of the video. Just talk about Canelo and David and how we need to see that next. And let's talk about Jose Benavidez versus Jermall Charlo. So I knew Charlo was the better fighter coming into this fight. He's, you know, just more skillful, just better overall. Jose is a dog. He has that grit in him, but, you know, just got outboxed and was, unfortunately, the smaller fighter of this fight. So Charlo missed weight, I think, by 3-4 pounds. I do want to speak about that because I think it's really shitty. As a fighter, boxer, or MMA fighter, you know, making weight is a pretty big deal. And I think it's probably the most important thing besides taking steroids in fighting is making weight to make the fight happen. So the fact that he missed weight, and it wasn't just by a pound, you know, it was, I think, 3 or 4 pounds. I find it a bit disrespectful, you know, to, I guess, how his training camp has been, and then disrespectful towards Jose Benavidez and to the team in Showtime, right? Because if Jose wanted to, they could just cancel this fight. He breached the contract, if I'm not mistaken, and they had to renegotiate and make that shit happen again. So kudos to Jose and his team to still making it happen. But it was just very disappointing from Charlo, especially, you know, having the time off and the troubles that he's been through, and then you don't make weight. It's like, you know, are you still that same type of person? How serious are you taking this? Whatever. But about the fight itself, he looked fucking great in the ring. And I was like, damn, this guy's good. I was like, I'm not a fan of Charlo. I don't like his attitude. I'm not a fan of them, both brothers, actually. But he looked fucking great against Jose. Like, he did. He looked great. He looked sharp. And he just boxed Jose Benavidez for 10 rounds. He was never really in any difficult situations or any really big, or I guess, like, he was never in trouble. You know, he was just never in trouble. He got caught with a few shots, but never taken any real damage. So kudos for Jose. He has a very inspiring story. You know, to be able to keep boxing is fucking insane. You know, from what he went through, being shot in the leg and being told you're probably not going to walk again, and then, you know, to come back in the ring and keep fighting, which is insane. So big kudos for Jose. And like I said, Charlo looked great. I want to see him fight. He's exciting to me. And I want to see him in the ring. I want to see him fight, you know, big names. I think the fight with him and Caleb Plant would be fucking crazy. You know, we all know the history, if I'm not mistaken. I might be, but I doubt it, you know, because they're twins. But Jermall Charlo is the one that got slapped by Caleb Plant for, I forgot what the drama or the reason what was behind that. But, you know, he got slapped by Caleb Plant. And then it's kind of bad blood or beef that's there. And I think it's a good fight. It's an exciting fight that can happen. And, you know, both Caleb Plant, you know, has, 2 losses in a row, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 2 losses in a row. You know, Charlo coming off from a win that he thinks wasn't the best version of him. So I would call it a sloppy win, but I think he looked great. Sloppy win for Charlo. You know, we got some drama. This is an event that can pay-per-view and headline, in my opinion. And I think it's just an interesting fight. And I think it's a fight that we should see sometime in 2024. So let me know what you guys think, you know, about that fight. Well, let me know what you guys think about Charlo missing weight. And if you guys are excited to see him back in the ring. And also, like, if it's exciting to see him fight Caleb Plant, because, again, I think that fight would be fucking awesome. All right, guys, last thing on the list here, Katie Taylor beats Chantelle Cameron. And this one, I was surprised. I was like, man, they're not gonna come out like the first fight. Like, there's just no way. Like, it's too much. It's too much pace. It's too much action. It's overwhelming action in the good way. And there's just no way. There's just no way they're going to do the same thing. And they did exactly that. They came in there fucking firing all cylinders. And I mean, they kept the pace. They slowed down a little bit, but they kept the pace up for 10 fucking rounds. It's insane. They're crazy athletes, and I was just blown away that they could do that. But, you know, Katie Taylor gets the win, and I think she got the win just because how strong she started off the fight. Because after like round 5, I don't know who the fuck was winning. Like I like round like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I was like, I don't know. Like it's just 50-50 to me. But you know, 1 through 4, I was like, okay, like Katie Taylor looked like she was the better fighter. And you know, the fight went on, and I was just like, man, I don't even know, right? And everything was happening so fast and so quick. So maybe that's why I couldn't catch on to who was landing the better shots, the cleaner shots. But either way, man, it was just a fight that was crazy and insane, and a really exciting fight to see. And the fact that they did it again the first time, they did it the first time, and they did it again the second time, in the same place in Dublin, Ireland, and you know, people been waiting and wanting to see Katie Taylor undisputed champion, and the fact that she did it in her hometown, it had to be crazy, and it had to be a magical moment for her and her team, right? So they asked her about a trilogy, and she said yes, like let's do it. And I want to like kind of talk about the fact that they want to run it back for a third time. And the reason why is because, you know, when there's an exciting fight like that, right? Like Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, there was, you know, Sean O'Malley, Aljamain Sterling. I want to use that one for an example. Canelo versus Triple G. When you have really like a big star or a big name, and the current champion, it's just a big fight. Like, you know, we want to see Sean O'Malley become champion. Triple G has been calling out Canelo. Like, we want to see that. Like, we want to shut up Triple G. Katie Taylor has been, you know, beating these girls up, and she wants to become undisputed. So we see the challenger. We want the challenger to be champion, but there is a champion at the moment. You know, Canelo gets the draw against Triple G. I think Triple G won that fight, but they ran it back a second time right away, and Canelo wins. And Sean O'Malley beats Aljamain Sterling and decides no rematch for some reason. Katie Taylor loses to Chantelle Cameron. Chantelle Cameron won the fight, pretty clear to me. She didn't have to fucking do it again, but they decided to do it again in fucking Ireland. And maybe it's part of the contract. Like I said, I don't know, but they want to do it a third time. The fact that they want to do it a third time is crazy. You know, because Katie's like, man, I don't want to do it. I'm champion. I'm going to fucking move on. Like, whatever. Chantelle Cameron could have done the same thing. I'm champion. I'll beat you. I'm going to move on. But they want to deliver exciting fights. They want to test each other in exciting, like, you know, the fact that Katie Taylor lost the first fight, she's like, bro, I want to be better than you. I know we're tied right now. We're one apiece. I want to be better than you, and I want to have one win over you. To have that mindset and to want to be just better than your opponent, I mean, it says a lot about you. And it's just amazing to see, to be honest with you, that they have so much competition in them, and they just like want to be better. And it's just so cool and awesome to see. And I'm really looking forward to seeing a third fight between them. And we'll see where they make it happen. I think they need to make it in a bigger area just to make it even more insane. And we'll see who basically is the best out of 3 for those ladies. So I think for both of them, the next thing that should happen would be the third fight. But, you know, just make it bigger. Make it in a stadium, or really in a stadium, or just in a bigger arena. And just make it massive. Make it exciting. And maybe throw a nice co-main in there, like a nice, exciting co-main. I don't know, man. But it's really cool to see 2 fighters going at it at the highest level, at that fucking pace, and the fact they wanted to do it again for a third time. I mean, it's just mad respect and badass at the same time. So, guys, that's all I got for today for these fights. I hope you guys enjoyed the fights as much as I did, because they were super fun, super exciting. Let me know what you guys thought about the fights. Let me know just what you guys thought about the fighters. And we have more exciting fights coming up on Saturday. We have Ryan Garcia fighting, and then we have UFC Fight Night in Austin, Texas. So bangers, 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 bangers. I'll be busy, and I hope you guys enjoyed the content. I do want to say thank you for all the love you guys have shown to the channel, the clip channel, the main channel. We've been fucking growing like crazy these last few weeks, and I really do appreciate it, and it really does make me happy. I do want to put out good content, better content, and just also entertaining content to get you excited about these fights, because I get super, super excited to see these fights, and you know, and I love watching it, so I love talking about it too. I'll see you guys on the next one. I hope you guys have an amazing week. Take care. Peace.